Me, 26 female, with my husband, 28 male, and his ex, 30 female. She just got hired at my office, and it's causing problems. My husband and I have been married for 2 years, together for 8 years. 7 years ago, he cheated on me with a repulsive woman who knew about me, but still pursued him relentlessly because the challenge was fun. I found out by chance when he accidentally sent me a text that was meant for her. I cut contact and tried to move on, but he was persistent, and eventually we got back together. There was a drastic change in our relationship after that. He seemed to lose all interest in other women in general. He said that the time without me had been an eye-opener, and that he never wanted to feel like that again, and wanted to better himself in every way possible. It took a long time for me to even remotely trust him again, but it happened with time. I thought I was over what happened. My mum, everybody's best therapist, right? Kind of pounded it into me that I had 2 options: break up and move on, or get back together and work past it. What she was saying was that if I made the decision to be with him, we had to work past it. I couldn't be with him and use this as some sort of tool or weapon to whip out whenever I wanted to over the years. And she was right. That wouldn't have worked. So we worked it out, together. He never tried to excuse his actions, which I appreciated, and we both made changes, and we kind of grew up. We started from square one and built up from there. We bought a couple of houses, got married, and life was good. I didn't think about it much at all, and when I did, it was kind of a look how far we've come sort of way. Like I said, I thought I was over it this whole time. Apparently I'm not. When I walked into my office last week, the first thing I see in the waiting room is the other girl's nasty face. She had been hired with my company, and it was her first day. She has a very unique, pig-like face that is impossible to forget. I didn't acknowledge her and went to my office, but I couldn't concentrate. I don't want to be anywhere near this awful person. We work in the same department, but on different teams. So we will have pretty close contact on a day-to-day basis, although not constant either. She's been in training, and so far we haven't really talked at all. I've gotten multiple accidental friend requests from her on Facebook when she's creeping on my page, so I know that she recognizes me. When my manager walked her around the office introducing her to people, I kind of just did the smile and nod in her direction. She smiled and winked. Nice. I'm not sure what to do. I feel sick just being near her. I see her face, and I can't stop picturing it against my husband's. I've been mad at my husband on and off ever since she started at my office. I'm reliving the whole thing, and I'm pissed that he did this to us and that I'm in this situation now because of him. He hugs or kisses me and I pull away, and I feel crazy that the reasoning for this is something that happened 7 years ago. I did talk to him about it, but I'm not sure what I expect from him. He's extremely sympathetic and apologizes profusely that I have to be near her. He keeps pointing out how much we've grown and how amazing our life has been, and reminds me that he's a different person now. I walked into our room a couple of nights ago, and he was sitting on the bed crying because of what he had done to us. I don't know what to do. I'm on a roller coaster in Crazy Town right now. I go from sick feeling, to angry, to sad, to guilty for making him sad, to angry again, to crazy for being mad over something that I thought was so far behind me. He has encouraged me to do what feels best, whether that be to continue working there or to quit. He's been supportive of either decision and pointed out that he could support us easily if I quit working altogether. I don't want to leave my job. I worked extremely hard to build my way up to my position. I earned it. I make good money and have amazing benefits. But I feel sick just thinking about being near her every day. Am I crazy here? What would you guys do if you were in my shoes? Am I seriously losing it to be upset about something that's 7 years in the past? Input, please. In the comments, she was the past. Plain and simple. Don't give her any power to spoil your life. She's not that important. A few years ago, my ex-wife got a job in my company. Not as close in proximity to me as she was to you. It was horrible at first. We ended things with the worst horrible term possible, and we have kids together. I didn't sleep a wink the night that I found out that she was a part of the company. Then I went to work, looked straight past her, and started my day. A friend asked me why I seemed so calm, and I told him, the wife I knew was dead the day we divorced. That over there is nothing but a stranger. And that's how I moved on. You and your husband have decided to start from ground zero 7 years ago. There's no need to dig up that past. Consider that person dead, and the woman you saw was nothing but a stranger. Good luck to you both. I can't imagine it will ever be anything other than awful working with her. The best and only option I can think of is to take the skills and experience you've picked up at your current job and take them to another. It sucks, but surely it beats any alternative. And OP says, honestly, that probably does beat staying anywhere near her. Leaving just really bums me out. I love my office, and I'm really lucky to have an amazing boss and flexible hours, and I feel like I worked so hard just to get here, just to throw it all away. This belongs in a fuck my life post. I feel for you, but the reality is, she never owed you a thing. It's not her fault what your husband did. It's his and only his. This anger belongs with him, and she's just an outlet for it. At the end of the day, even though this is ridiculously hard, you need to realize that she's done nothing to you that you need to forgive at this current moment. She was a stranger in your life, and she owes you no apologies. Your husband cheated on you. It could have been with any other woman. It just so happened to be with her. OP says, oh, I definitely put the blame on both of them. I just don't consider actively pursuing someone whose significant other you have met and know all about to be innocent or blameless. I agree with both of you. I'd rather focus on how she's acting now, and she definitely is coming off like an ass the way that she smiled and winked at you. I would just steer clear and work through things with my husband. And OP says, yeah, her actions are now in my eyes indicative of the kind of person that she is. She's clearly very proud of herself. She wasn't the one in a relationship with you. He was. So what did she exactly do to slight you? And are you taking his word for it that she was pursuing him? This is going to continue to eat at you and fester at you, and you will continue to despise her. But where is that going to get you? OP says, she actively pursued my significant other despite knowing that he was with me. I'm not saying that she's only the one at fault, just that she isn't innocent. And yes, after I found out about what was going on, he gave me his phone to see the extent of it. She was very pushy and extremely manipulative. For example, claiming to need him right now because her boyfriend had hit her and she was stranded at the dude's house and needed someone to take her home and be with her. This was in fact false, but my husband had previously turned her down when she asked to see him, so she came up with this. Like I said, he's at fault as well, but she isn't innocent. I mean, if you've been there for a long time, I'd probably start with HR. I'd also start looking for a new job anyway. And since I'm kind of petty like that, I'd probably tip off the entire office as to what kind of trash she is on my way out. OP says, I'm not really sure what I would go to HR about though. That she's slighted me personally? That doesn't necessarily speak to her work ethic at all, and I don't really want to get any higher-ups involved, you know? In my mind, she's an extremely disgusting waste of a person, but maybe she's a great employee. I doubt she's good at anything except for being literally more disgusting than dog shit on the bottom of a shoe, but maybe I'm a little biased. Difficult situation because I don't know what I would do either besides want to move out of a job like that. And I know it's not fair to be put into a position where you have built your way up to this role in the company and you have all these amazing benefits and you have an amazing environment, and that this person comes in and now you feel forced to leave. And you are provided with many options because it seems like you have great financial stability in your life, that you have the option to make that leap without any big repercussions. Like, yes, you'd be starting somewhere over again, but your life wouldn't come crashing down as a result of leaving. And you know what? If you feel like that's too much for you, then don't quit, but find ways to deal with this woman in your workplace. If that's truly what you want and you feel like it is too unfair to leave this job, then just find ways to deal with her. Because yeah, I guess quitting a job that you worked years to earn would be punishing yourself for a mistake that your husband made. And it would kind of just feel like you're repeating cycles here. I think you just document anything inappropriate, loop HR into the conversation if she crosses any lines, and do what you can to really push that toxic work environment kind of line that we see a lot. And now, on to the update. First, I want to thank everyone for your advice and replies. I read everything and tried to respond to as many as I could. One thing I wanted to clear up is that my husband never slept with what's-her-face. I realize how that was implied when I said he cheated, but that didn't happen. They hooked up, sans actual intercourse. And yes, I know that beyond any possible doubt, so no reason to speculate there. Anyway, on to the update. She got fired. Turns out, Miss Crazy Pants used me as a reference to get the damn job. I had decided to not say anything about her to my boss because I figured, hey, what the fuck ever? Like user Arsemouth or both so skillfully pointed out, she's the past. She's nothing. She doesn't matter. So I decided to leave it alone and let her fail on her own. That didn't take long. My boss was in my office talking about Crazy Pants' performance when she said, I'll be completely honest, she's not exactly how you described her. I had no clue what the boss was talking about, so I asked her to elaborate and she said, well, when I asked you about her before we hired her, you described a much different performance level than what I've seen so far. Does she usually take a while to adjust and get into the flow of things? By this time, I was completely lost. I know for a fact that I never mentioned Crazy Pants to my boss, and I've definitely never talked about her work ethic or performance to anyone at all, unless it's been talking about her grade A performance at being a hooker. And no, I wouldn't insult a hooker with such a disgusting comparison. Anyway, my boss looked at my blank stare and said, are you forgetting this whole conversation? A few weeks before we hired her, I asked for your reference. You said she was a team player and a great asset. Oh, fuck me, I did refer someone when the position opened up, and when my boss asked for my reference, it was super off the books, very laid back and informal. I think her exact words back then were, so tell me about the woman you referred. I got her resume and she looks great on paper, but how is she as a person? And I answered in reference to the actual woman that I referred. Turns out Crazy Pants really is that crazy. She must have gotten my employment info off of my Facebook like so many of you pointed out. I hadn't even thought of that before. I've since changed my privacy settings and decided to apply to fuck with me or something. I have no clue what her endgame was. She probably wanted me to get the reference request from my boss with her name actually said just to mess with me or let me know that she's watching. I don't know if she actually expected to be hired. Doesn't matter now because she got super fired and probably needs a psych eval. I don't know, I don't care. She isn't worth worrying about. She's blocked from all my social media accounts and our building security already has record of fired employees to keep an eye out for. If I hear her or see her again, then I'll look into legal protection from her crazy ass. But for now, I'm letting the whole thing go. Bye, Felicia. In the comments, I'm Just Jenna says, damn OP, can you give us more details about what went down with your boss once you raised the misunderstanding? Was your boss super pissed? And OP says, she was very pissed. She went and got Crazy's resume and brought it to me to verify that it was me on the reference section. Then I told her the name of the person that I actually referred, and she got that person's resume out too, so I could verify which was the right person. I gave her the resume of the correct person. That one didn't have any names in the reference section, and told her that I actually had personal issues with Crazy in the past, and that I'm guessing that's why she knew where I worked. But neither of us could figure out why she would put me as an actual reference. My boss could have easily said, I want to talk to you about your reference for Crazy Pants, instead of just saying the woman you referred. It was the weirdest order of events to end up here. But once we looked at both resumes and cleared up whose was who, she called Crazy into her office and asked her to leave immediately. She told her, basically, it wasn't a good fit, and that she would have given her longer to work out if it hadn't been for the blatant lying on her resume. And, how did Crazy react to that? OP says, I have no clue, honestly. She seemed to leave without much of a fuss. Neither my office nor me or my husband have gotten any contact from her at all, so she's either biding her time like a fucking lunatic, or she just moved on. Who knows? Ugh, your writing is unclear and ambiguous. Some of us have no idea what your informal reference has to do with this other girl having gotten the job. OP says, I have no clue how it's unclear. There was a position at my company that became available. I told a friend to apply. At the same time, Crazy Pants also applied and put my name as a reference on her resume and in the initial email that she sent to my boss when she sent her resume. My boss comes into my office and says, tell me a little bit more about the woman that you referred, and I answer the question assuming that she means my friend, who I told to apply. Since I only told one person about the position, it was safe to assume my boss was asking about that person when she asked me to tell her about the woman I referred. She was not asking about my friend. My friend did not put me as a reference or include my name at all when she applied. I don't know why. My boss was actually asking about Crazy Pants. So when I gave her my informal reference, we were talking about two different people, and neither of us knew that there was a confusion because we both thought that there was only one person we could have been talking about. Make sense? OP replies to a deleted comment and says, yes, the person I actually did recommend has an interview next week. My husband is glad she's gone, but he wasn't really shocked to hear that she actually put me as a reference on her resume. He knew she was nuts, and he actually wants to get a restraining order, but I'm gonna hold off on that. Wow, what a psycho. That is laughably hilarious, but also scary. Who does shit like this? What a petulant human being. And OP says, right? It never crossed my mind before my last post that she had even applied for my office just because I worked there. I figured that it was a coincidence. New levels of crazy, I guess. So question, how did she get fired other than a bad reference? OP says, she just wasn't a good employee. She didn't even interview that well, but they thought that she was the person I had recommended, so they sort of trusted what they thought was my judgment and went for it. Aside from being a bad employee, she lied to gain employment, which is actually a fireable offense at my work anyway. I don't understand how she lied to gain employment. She put your name down as a reference and your boss screwed up. It's not like she wrote a fake recommendation letter. Not that it matters. Sounds like she was a bad employee and a worse person. OP says, the email that she sent when she sent her resume referred to her references, me and others, as previous co-workers. We have never worked together. Well, I'm glad that the trash took itself out in this instance. And the fact that she applied at the same time that your friend applied is some crazy happenstance. Like, genuinely, what are the odds? I'm glad you didn't blow up your marriage over this one. I'm glad you didn't have to leave your job because of a hostile work environment. And I'm also glad that you stayed quiet and professional, because that's really what you needed to do here. If you reacted and made a scene out of this, I don't think it would have gone your way. And I would hope that your husband's remorse about all of this is genuine. I think it's still a forgive, but trust your gut instincts when your body reacts to situations like this. You know, don't fully let go of these things, because if you forget, then you might get burned in the future. Though I'm not sure how many instances of getting burnt can realistically come up at this point. So I think you're good. Our next post is from the wedding drama subreddit, and it's by user Sashiku, titled, My officiant brought guests without asking. One of them caught my bouquet. So long story short, the original officiant we chose and loved had to back out for personal reasons. We were disappointed, but a replacement was assigned quickly. The original choice told us the replacement was very professional and would perform the ceremony perfectly. Cut to the end of the ceremony, we do the recessional, and I noticed two women I've never seen in my life sitting in the back. One was wearing a sparkly deep V-neck club dress that had her breasts on full display. But thankfully, the other guest and the officiant were both dressed for the occasion. I was not asked if the officiant could bring guests. I was asked if she could stay through the reception and said yes, but never approved extra heads. We had a pretty strict guest limit, so that was frustrating. Cut to the reception, It's time to do my bouquet toss. I'm excited to see which of my friends or cousins catches the bouquet. The toss happens, I turn around, and the complete stranger in the sparkly dress is holding my bouquet while jumping around, screaming and laughing. I was flabbergasted. Not one of my guests celebrated with her, so she was just alone dancing around with my bouquet while everyone else awkwardly just tried to move past it. People were walking up to me all night asking who she was, why she was there, why she thought that it was acceptable to insert herself in the crowd for the toss. It's been 3 days, and my co-workers are still talking about it. I just went into the company's Instagram page and saw the original officiant, who backed out due to having surgery for his knee scheduled on the day of the wedding, performed a ceremony on the same date and time as my wedding. This part is a lot harder to laugh off. I am livid about this lie. Edit: the county called me to let me know that my marriage license was received. So I've posted my reviews on all sites that I could find them on. Edit: Thanksgiving Day. I hope I dreamed this, but I just got done arguing the facts with the officiant who was not there because he lied and performed another ceremony instead. I've heard nothing from the replacement who brought her inappropriately dressed friends. In the comments, I'm sorry this happened to you. Very unprofessional on the officiant part. I'm not sure if there's a place to report them, but I definitely would look into that. For your co-workers to keep bringing it up is very mean and rude. You're obviously upset about it, understandably so for them to keep bringing it up is not okay. OP replies, honestly, at this point, I'm laughing it off. A good friend gave us the gift of being our videographer, and he got that moment on film. My face is priceless. He recorded the whole toss, her catching it, my guests being like, who the fuck is this woman? And then he quickly pans over to my face when I'm like, huh? And hits me with a dramatic zoom. It's actually hysterical. One of my bridesmaids went up to the woman's table and stole the bouquet back and gave it to our friend that should be getting engaged very soon. Another commenter says, I'm sorry this happened. The officiant and the sparkly woman's actions revealed a lot more about themselves than about you. Don't let their choices ruin the fact that you got married. You can mention the surprise guests if you ever leave a review for the officiant. OP says, I will definitely be leaving a detailed review and attaching the video of this happening when I do. My face when my friend zooms in on me says it all. My flabbers were gasted. Did you pay the officiant? I'm glad you can laugh about it and that no permanent harm was done, but goddamn was that unprofessional. And as such, I think a refund would be more than called for. OP says $375 total. Someone else says that OP should not let that moment ruin her memory of the wedding. OP says, it was definitely a great party, and I refuse to let a bad 3 minutes ruin my memory. I married my best friend on Saturday, surrounded by friends and family, and that's what really matters the most. Someone else asks, why did you say yes? You literally chose this, and now you're mad about it. OP says, we told the officiant, one person, that she alone was welcome to stay for dinner and have drinks from the open bar. I told her that we'd be happy to have her stay for the reception during a pre-wedding Zoom call, and no extra guests were mentioned. At first, I thought that they were venue staff because they were very on top of recording everything. It wasn't until about 30 minutes before bouquet toss that I realized they'd sat down with the officiant and looked to be very close friends. By that point, I didn't actually have the time to bring it up to anyone. I kept getting pulled in different directions for photos with guests, questions from my coordinator, father-daughter dance, etc. At the end of the day, I was flat out stunned and didn't react the way I should have. It was my wedding, and I could have said, hold on a sec, let me figure this out first, when the coordinator pulled me aside to ask if we were ready to cut the cake. Someone else says OP should have done a redo with her bouquet toss. OP says, that's what my stepmom said. But by that point, my bridesmaid had already stolen it back and given it to our other friend. Additional information on OP, not being upset about the extra guests, and took the bouquet from the lady who caught it. I wasn't upset by that point. My friend group and I were kinda cracking up at the audacity, and I was so happy with the wedding otherwise that I was over it kinda quick. We had friends and family come over to the house after and spent a good amount of time roasting the lady. It's kinda hard to kill my vibe when I'm in party mode. I get over things quick. I just wanted to share the story because everyone I've talked to that was there thought that it was completely insane. The bouquet was stolen back, and it went to the person that I really wanted it to go to. My guests are expressionate, loud, and give no fucks, so I'm sure she heard what an ass she made of herself in passing, too. OP clarifies on paying the officiant and getting a refund due to the extra guests. We had to pay before the ceremony was done, but like I've said in some comments here, I'm going to approach them about a full or even a partial refund and leave reviews detailing my experience. I'm just waiting to find out that our marriage license was received first, because I would hate for them to be vindictive and throw it in the shredder or something. Yeah, I don't blame you for wanting to wait for that marriage license either. Like, if they're stupid enough to bring their friends and scam you guys out of all of that money, and out of a beautiful moment, which then turned into a hilarious moment, so that one is what it is, then I think they would be vindictive enough to shred your wedding license. I genuinely would not put that past them. That was so disrespectful, deceptive, and sloppy for them to do that. You paid for a service and then got blindsided by these ignoramuses. And who the hell does sparkly dress woman think she is? Why would she ever come and make such a show of herself like that? You know, you're already scamming someone. You've got some balls to go in there and take the bouquet and then make a show of it by yourself. Some people really have no shame. But outside of all of this, OP, you still married your best friend, you still had a great wedding regardless, and I do think that those people deserve to be called out, and I hope you get your refund. And now, onto the update. So my original post and the video of the incident are on my profile. You guys can go find it if you want it. I'm sadly not here to share a happy update. The original officiant we'd chosen, the liar, sent me a 10-paragraph text message wanting to argue with me about my review on Thanksgiving Day. Firstly, he states that the bouquet was caught fair and square by the person who happened to be the tallest in the group. The video shows this to be laughably false. 2 guests in the video, including the one that she snatched the bouquet from, are clearly taller than her. Either way, it's a moot point. She never should have been a part of that moment to begin with. She never should have joined the group at all. She shouldn't have even been at the wedding in the first place. To argue that she was just so tall that the bouquet just happened to fall to her is completely insane to me. Secondly, he's doubling down on his surgery lie. He told me that he was at home recovering on the 22nd of November. I sent him the screenshot from his own page where he clearly states that he performed the ceremony on the 22nd of November 2025. I also sent him screenshots of me straight up asking the other vendors that he tagged who confirmed that his wedding was in fact performed on the 22nd of November. I sent him screenshots from the bride and groom's Instagram page showing that their wedding was on the 22nd of November. He's literally in a photo with a welcome sign that shows the date of the wedding as the 22nd of November. I can't even begin to understand what he thinks he's doing by repeatedly lying to me about this. I did attach all screenshots with explanations to all reviews on the 6 platforms that I've posted them on so far. Thirdly, he says that officiants never stay for the reception and always leave immediately following the signing of the marriage license. He says that the replacement only stayed at our direct request. He himself, during our first meeting, said that he would be staying for the reception, specifically telling us that he would be at the bar ordering tequila shots immediately after the license was signed. That should have been a red flag in hindsight, because he told us that he would be staying for the reception. We told the replacement that she could as well during our get-to-know-you meeting with her. We did not approve extra guests coming with her, nor did she even ask about bringing anyone, let alone 2 extra heads. That's it. That's the update. In the comments, please include his insane responses to your reviews in those reviews. People need to know what a loon this guy is. OP says, I did. My reviews are extremely detailed, and I included screenshots of everything. I let him know that I would be adding screenshots of his texts to my reviews to highlight his horrible attitude. He said my attitude was the problem and that he was being a professional. Another commenter says, also report him to the licensing department, your county's clerk of courts. OP asks, I can do that for something like this? I'll have to do that today. The county clerk's office already knows a little about the situation. I called to ask if our license was being received and gave a tiny explanation on why I was asking. They actually called me back a day or two later to let me know that they had received the license and that I was free to post my reviews. I'm definitely going to call the county and see if they take formal complaints like this. I got a bit caught up at work and responding to Reddit comments today, but I set a reminder for tomorrow. Opie responds to a comment about having a close friend being ordained to do the wedding. Opie says, "Public speaking terrifies me, so you're basically a saint in my eyes. I would have loved for a friend to officiate, but we couldn't really figure out who to ask. We're all neurodivergent and introverted." A 10-paragraph rant to argue with you about things that you have irrefutable evidence on is insanity. Like doubling down and gaslighting you about what you personally agreed to is ridiculous. That's just full-blown panic. That's him pulling shit out of his ass to try and find something to get you with. And no ounce of remorse coming from this man at all. Who the hell does he think he is? Opie, you did everything right. You documented everything. You protected future couples with these factual reviews. And I hope that you do get a refund, or if you can report him, that'd be even funnier. If he had his ability to do this stripped away from him by going to the licensing department with your county's clerk of courts, that would be so funny. Thank you for the story, and thank you for the update. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.